Hey, everybody. Hope all is well. So go ahead and unmute, type in, anything goes.
And go ahead, Priya, then Lala.
Hey, Priya.
Hello, how are you?
Hey.
I just want to say thank you. Huge, huge, huge
Oh, you're
thank you.
welcome.
I started doing this Healing the Past class,
Yeah.
and every segment I was doing 2 to 3 times. And so I haven't finished the class yet. I'm almost there. But there is already a sense of calmness, but I feel like my thoughts have changed. I'm thinking differently,
Yeah.
and this is magic.
Yeah. It truly is magic. Yeah, I would agree. Um, you know, for the ones, what she's talking about is the class that was part 5 of the Auric series is intuition and healing the past. And so you're developing these what is it, 14 potentials? Yeah, it's 14 potentials in the intuition. And a lot of times when we're dealing with uh, traumas or fears or things that, like, we might be obsessing about with repetitive thinking, or just the stuff that happens from our past. When we look at it, there's layers to it. And a lot of times we look at it from the point of view of intellect, like, okay, I need to tackle this, I need to wrestle with this, I need to release this, I need to make it get out of my body or my emotions or my mind. But that's one of the beauties of intuition. Like, that's why I keep saying intuition is really the healing process. It's other things too, but the thing with intuition is it can take in information and process and take action very quickly. But intuition is also tied to our learning processes. Okay. It's also tied to our learning processes. And so what starts to happen is the more that you stimulate intuition, you kind of start learning and releasing, like moving past those old traumatic events, that old conditioning. As much as we try to wrestle with it with our mind, and I'd like this, I'd like that, I need to release this, I need to get rid of this, I need to make this better. Those are all perceptions of the intellect. And the intellect always feels that it needs to make something happen. But if you if you if you stimulate intuition, you just start processing out of it. Like, you don't even have to go back and start reliving it. You don't have to go back and re-engage those old things. You just start moving out of whatever little box that has put you in. And so, there's stages to it. One of the aspects that we're looking at on the weekend, which is part 3 of the Auric series, is it's the dynamics of the aura. But part of what you're doing is you're working like it's hard to explain. So, like, I don't know that I'm very good at explaining it, but basically, like, a lot of times what we call observation is the gateway to seeing things like in a dimensional way. And so what does that mean? Like, when we are looking and perceiving something, we see it from, like, our perspective, like, based on our past experiences. And when you start to expand out of that, it's almost like you're shifting into another state, or another way of perceiving, or another way of experiencing. And so you're starting to shift, like, dimension, not necessarily saying it's like, oh, you're going to go to the 5th dimension or the 6th dimension. It's more about perceiving more than what's out, that is what is outside of yourself. But a lot of times with our past experiences and our conditioning, we get kind of fixated on our points of perception. And so when this aspect of dimensional thinking like shifts, you're able to see like a bigger picture, right? A much bigger picture. Then you process and see like the depth of how things play out, which would be associated with time. You know, these ideas of dimension and time and space are both Kabbalistic and actually Buddhist. In Buddhism, different deities are associated with these aspects. In Kabbalah, each of these aspects are associated with letters in the Hebrew alphabet. And you would work these letters to try to bring about this shift. And so they're also tied in the indigenous practices to the directions, you know, all the different directions. And so you could say a lot of different definitions of what the directions are, but really it's more about these experiences that you're trying to define as you look at each of the directions. And so, you know, you look at like the quality of perception that you have, or your conscious experience, then the depth perception and how you see things play out. And then the one for space is associated with the east. And so, you know, if you look at the way you invoke, it would be like the illuminated mind. But basically, you know, how you chant mantras, you know, you'd go Om, Mani, Padme, Hum. In between the words, like that gap or space in between the words will dictate how much energy comes in, how much intuitional energy comes in. When you just do it really fast, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, you're actually working the intellectual component. But then when you start going Om, Mani, Padme, Hum, like when those gaps start getting bigger, those gaps start to bring in movement or intuitional energy. And an enlightened mind is able to experience the gap when you're thinking intellectually, like, you know, you're thinking an idea, you're thinking words, you're thinking process. It's able to start experiencing the gaps while you're in intellect. I mean, really, that's you're starting to mechanically break down what does illumination mean? What does enlightenment mean? What are these things? There are mechanics to it, right? And so part of what you would call obsessive thinking, or even like obsessive compulsive issues, or when we tend to get triggered, it's, if you really look at it, I mean, this is a very old Buddhist teaching. It's the lack of awareness, or it's the lack of intuition. And so you're bringing about these little gaps or spaces, even between your intellectual thought, that then starts to calm and regulate and bring order to the mind. And you could say that you get to be more of who you are rather than your conditioned experiences. You know, you start shedding more of what life has made you rather than getting to be who you are. So you start shedding those things that life made you, and you know, the way people treat you. And I find it all fascinating, you know. But going back to what you were saying with the intuition, I mean, if you just keep working that, you don't have to sit and relive the past. If you keep just working those intuitional components, all of a sudden you'll go, you know, those things in the past, they just don't bother me anymore. And it's different than going, I have this issue, what should I do? Like, you just work it as like you're developing the skill set to handle these things, and your intuition just starts mopping things up. It just starts cleaning things up. And the beauty of it is, a lot of times you don't have to re-experience those old hurtful or painful feelings. You just kind of move out of it, you know? And so I like that for you, but I like it for everybody. I love it for myself. I mean, yeah.
My
When I was young, I was a hot mess. I was a hot mess. And, as much as I tried, every time I tried to get better, I would make things a little bit worse, like every time. And it wasn't until I started doing, they didn't even call it intuitional practices, but I started doing intuitional practices. And all of a sudden I was like, this is kind of weird, but I feel a little better. And then I would start noticing I'm behaving different in situations. I'm not thinking the way that I was. And I didn't wrestle with each kind of thought. It just kind of disappeared. Like, you know what I mean? Every once in a while they'd pop up in my mind. I was like, oh yeah, I used to think that way. Oh yeah, I used to behave that way. Oh yeah, I used to do those kinds of things. Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. And you know, it's almost like dying and being reborn. When you really like, the more you go into intuition, it's more and more like just dying and being reborn over and over and over again. I knew this Lama one time that he made some statement about he's died many, many, many times. And somebody said, oh, like, you remember all your lives? He goes, no, in this lifetime, I've died many, many, many times. And it really is this kind of like rebirth that happens when you really start engaging those intuitive processes. It really, regardless of what tradition it is the path of ending your suffering. Even if there's karmic issues that are coming in, part of what helps to reduce that is you learn your lesson. You don't learn it through intellect, you learn it through intuition. You learn through the intuitive side, and when the situation or the karma presents itself, you just start learning the lesson and you work through it. But when we're stuck in intellect, the lords of karma have to keep hitting us harder and harder over the head for us to get it. And man, I've been there. Like, the more you work intuition, the better you will feel. I guarantee it.
my body feels calmer, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I I am, yeah, it does feel like a mini new birth.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And the timings are so perfect with everything that was going
Yeah.
on over here, plus the travels
Yeah.
and the
When are you
births
leaving, by the way? You're leaving here pretty quick, aren't you?
the day after tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just perfectly lined up. I am so grateful. This is a
Good. Good.
miracle. This is a miracle.
Good.
I'm going to take a couple of bottles in my handbag and continue doing the
Yeah.
practice even in the flight.
Perfect.
There's one thing I wanted to address. My
Mhm.
jaws, they feel a little bit tight.
Mhm.
And
Try like, so a lot of times we see it in the jaw, and it could be stuff coming out. But you know what I like to do is, you can do it with oil or you can do it without, but like put like some oil that's relaxing. I mean, vetiver probably works the best, but it's a little sticky for the hair. So you could use something like marjoram or something, but put some on your fingertips and then really massage your whole like side of your head. Really massage all of that, and it will actually help to let the jaws go. And then you can still put a little bit of marjoram or vetiver on the jaws, but if you really work the this is called the temporalis. If you really work the temporalis, it will let the jaws go quite substantially. Like if you take and put your hand on the side of your head like that, like feel how it feels, and then open and close your mouth a couple of times. You feel all that movement?
mm,
So a lot of times the temporalis, or the side of your head, is actually what the jaw issue is. It's not necessarily the jaw. And when you look at, your working intuition, part of what's happening is you're displacing lower vibrational energies in the brain itself. So the brain starts kicking things off, and where you'll feel it is in that temporalis muscle.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
yeah, so
I'll do
just kind of rub that a bunch, like, just do like circular motions and just get in and kind of move the tissue around. But I usually use either marjoram or vetiver, and
yeah.
it's quite relaxing to that area.
No worries. Thank you for that. And another thing with the travel, last time I went there in this hot summer over there, I got very unwell. Like I was shivering. I was in the hospital for like most of my trip because of how the weather change didn't quite, um, yeah, it was a bad
Because
experience.
of heat or because of cold?
Because of the heat over there, because of how cold it is over here, it's like a total contrast.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So I just made myself a cup of Monado complex, thinking that I just want to strengthen my immunity just a little bit. But is there anything else, or is
Do
this
you
the
have
best
like
choice?
some cinnamon or thyme?
I've got cinnamon.
Yeah, take cinnamon. Cinnamon's going to be good for infectious conditions that are potentially, contagious. And it will give you more energy and stamina, but it will raise the heat in your body a little bit. It won't make you super hot, but it will keep you from getting super cold.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
here's a little trick. Here's a little trick. Like if you're feeling really super cold, put your awareness on your navel, your sex, and your basic chakra, all three at the same time. And then just inhale, like, 5, 6, 7 times, and it will warm up the body.
And what were the centers again?
Navel, sex, and basic. Because like sometimes, when I was traveling every weekend, I was really, my bags were always packed. Like I had like, my routine, like the things that I took and everything. The thing that I always forgot was a jacket. And so I was always in places like it might be raining or snowing, and I'd be there without a jacket. And so that was my trick, is I would use those three centers. And you don't want to do it tons, but do it enough, and it warms the body up.
So what happened was last time was it was hot summer over there, really cold winter over here. When I went there, I got the fever, but that fever was such that I was just shivering. I couldn't
Yeah,
stop shivering in
yeah.
hot summer. And they
Yeah,
had to take me to the hospital, and yeah,
yeah,
it was bad fever. So
yeah.
I'll continue with this and take cinnamon. Also, I'm taking cinnamon with me anyway in my travel kit.
Perfect.
And Sitka, I wanted to check with you, Sitka, if I just apply that. I couldn't find much on the website benefits of Sitka because my mind, usually when I go through the website, I'm looking for energetic, psychological benefits. I mean, I feel
Right.
like physical benefits are just icing on the cake. I just want the rest of it.
Yeah,
But
you must be psychic, because I was all excited. I found an old bottle of my Sitka, like, because like different years, like I keep Sitka, like, this was in 2003 Sitka, like I have some 2006 Sitka over here, and I found some really old Sitka right as I was coming out. I was like, I found some old Sitka. And then you mentioned it. It's hysterical.
so what are some of the psychological, energetic benefits, and how could
well
I use this over there?
Yeah, I would use it like kind of consistently. Sitka is very activating to the crown. It's very fortifying to the nerves. And I would say it's kind of quieting to the nerves. So that would translate into your mind goes quiet, the emotions feel a little bit more stable. Um, it's very good for the glands. It helps regulate like the pituitary, and has an impact on the adrenals, things like that. So it would keep you like from being stressed out. It would be good to use during stress. I find it even is kind of good to use like when, we get agitated sometimes. Like, like traveling is a perfect example. You're on the plane, you're not stressed, but everybody's in a tight area. people are cranky, it's a little bit agitating to the body. Even emotionally, mentally, you're fine, but it's like, ugh, everybody's packed in there like sardines. And so Sitka would be very good for keeping the body in a calm, good state. Like the very first time I ever gave some Sitka to my mom, she's not into any of this stuff. And I go, hey, there's this oil I'd like you to try and everything. And I put like 3 or 4 drops on her wrist and I showed her how to do this. And I go, smell it a couple of times. And she smelled it and she goes, I don't have a thought in my head. And she like slept for like 10 minutes. And then she woke up and she goes, what were you saying? And I go, I wasn't saying anything. And, we were just like quiet, but it's like, it just instantly took a bunch of stress out of her body and like quieted the mind. And so, you could use it for all kinds of things, but I find that wearing it consistently just kind of helps you go with the flow of things. You know what I mean? Because even when you're doing like a lot of meditation, which you're about to do, part of what happens is that it can be a little bit depleting to the nerves, and you'll notice that you'll start getting like a little bit of a shake sometimes when you do really deep meditation. You come out and it's just like, ugh, the nerves are in the process of like rebooting or raising the vibration, whatever you want to call it. And Sitka is one of the really good oils for fortifying the nerves so that it can handle the shifts and the changes and shifts in perception and doing it in a way that's very, very gentle.
So just apply it on the wrists and
Lay it on the wrist, inhale it a bunch. I usually throw it on the chest.
Yep.
Like a few drops on the heart. I inhale it out of the bottle. I take salt baths with it. Like I always make that joke. Like my favorite oil is the one in my hand, but I have a handful of oils that are my favorite oils, even when they're not in my hand. Sitka is one of them. Yeah.
Mm.
Sitka, cistus, aloes, vetiver, tuberose, those are just, ugh.
I took a salt bath with Sitka, and during the bath, I have to say that I have never felt this quiet
Yeah.
in a very,
Yeah.
very, very long time.
Yeah.
It was just next level. I was so quiet, and yeah, just it complemented this class.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
just, I just want to say, you guys are my earth angels.
You're very sweet.
The only regret is I didn't get this class any earlier. Otherwise, a whole lot of drama in my life would have
Right,
disappeared.
right. Yeah.
But thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And we'll
Thank you,
probably
Sam.
reteach that class late in the year.
Yeah,
It's an important class. We'll be revisiting that, so you'll get to do it live at some point.
love it. Love it. It would be great if I could be there in person one time
Yeah,
and
one
just,
of these times you'll have to come over and spend time over here in the US.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. And thank you, Sam.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then go ahead, Lolly, then Barbara.
Hey, Lolly.
Hey,
Hee
I guess I need to get Sitka.
hee.
Would be a good addition. And yeah, the class on the weekend was absolutely amazing. I just later that night and like yesterday, I kind of realized how my mind was so quiet.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
and I think it still is. Anyway, and I've actually been taking also tarragon, but I think a part of me is not used to that. So I'm kind of thinking I'm supposed to be stressed out about a lot of things, and I'm
Oh, yeah.
actually not.
Oh, I've been there. Like, I make that joke about like you calm everything down and then, that weird negative thinking kind of floats away and you're like, but where did it go? What am I supposed to do now? Now what? Like,
Yeah.
I've many evenings where I'm like, well, I don't know what to do now. Like, because managing that stuff becomes like so ingrained sometimes that when it goes away, it almost is like, I kind of don't know what to do. Like that, I know what to do, but like
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's
having, yeah, another one, like if you're trying to calm down agitation, yarrow is really good for that as well. Like, um, the like when people have a tendency to get triggered a lot really easily, yarrow can be one of the things that you would use to like right when they get triggered, or if they're in a state of being triggered, if you give them yarrow, like yarrow is very good physically for inflammation and an antispasmodic, but you can almost say it's good for like emotional inflammation. Like when something just gets like, I get triggered, I can't pull out of it, I can't stop thinking about and you take some yarrow and it's just like, I was making spadric yarrow the other day, and I was like, it was like the middle of the day, by the way, and I was like, I should probably test this and take a big dosage of it and see how that feels. Oh, 15 minutes later, I was on the couch. I mean, I was, how there's days where you're just on and you're doing stuff, and I was moving things on shelves and I was just going 90 miles an hour. And I mean, I was like, and then I go, oh, I'm gonna make some spadry yarrow. And I took it, and 15 minutes later, I was taking a nap on the couch. I was like, oh no, what happened to me? I lost all my mojo. I mean, it calmed me down so much that I was like, I forget that that used to be my go-to thing for when people would get really triggered, especially when it was kind of in the PTSD thing, where it's old traumas or things like that, where they keep getting triggered and having things come up and their mind starts going. Yarrow can be very calming to that. The only downside to yarrow is you can't take it consistently. You have to, if you've taken it every day, you can only go about 3 weeks, and then you need to take a break. I mean, you could go a little longer, but
like the
if
blue
if
oils.
you don't take breaks at some point, it starts to inhibit your ability to process iron for a little bit. And so you go 3-4 weeks, you take a week off, you can do another 3 or 4 weeks and then take a week off, or just a little bit of like a day off here and there. It's fine. It's just not one that you can do daily all the time.
Okay, and then I remember that when you mentioned a few times that it's also good for blood circulation, and you described it really well. I think it was on the weekend that it kind of works both ways. So if somebody has blood coagulation issues, like if it's not clotting, it's helpful. But if it's clotting too much, it's
Right.
also
Yes.
helpful.
Yarrow is
So,
very good for that. Yeah.
okay, so now the question is, so it has to be internal to be beneficial for that?
No, actually, I mean, there's times where, like if it's not a wound, like if it's a wound, you could put it directly on a wound.
Right.
Or like if people have like colitis or something, and they don't want to take something internal, I'll have them rub it all over their belly. But as far as like clotting issues, like say they have a clotting issue down in the leg or something, that needs to be internal.
Okay, so somebody who's like taking okay, so for somebody who's taking blood thinners, would you
So with blood thinners, I what I usually have them do is carry a bottle of yarrow around, because like when they're on blood thinners and they get a cut, as you know,
oh God,
they'll bleed and bleed and bleed. They'll have to go to the hospital to stop the
yeah.
bleed. They will not stop. And so I have them just put the yarrow directly on the spot. And it still takes a little bit longer than a normal person, but it will stop. It will stop.
Okay.
And again, the other downside is it's dark blue. And so it does make a like a blue little incident happen. Like if you cut your arm, it's blue all over. So you don't want to get it on your clothes. It washes out.
Yeah.
But just in the moment. But one time, when I was working on the ranch, one of the alpacas had given birth, and the mom was didn't stop bleeding after the birth. And so, they called for the vet, and the vet probably wasn't going to get there in time. And so I took like probably a half ounce of yarrow, and I just, put it all over the area to try to stop it. And when the vet got there, he looked at it and goes, "What happened?" And then I told him, and he was like, "Oh, well, yeah." But I mean, it looked like a blue crime scene of some sort. It was just dark blue all over, her backside. And he was like, because I had no reference for that whatsoever. But in the old days in Europe, wives would take like big sprigs of yarrow and tie it to the toolbox of the husband, like if he like worked with hands a lot. And the idea was that if he got a cut, he could take the leaves and crush it and put it on the wound. So it was like a form of protection for somebody who worked with their hands a lot and might be prone to an injury. I mean, that's how good it is. And Achilles used to use it to heal wounds, of his men that were from battle. So wounds from weapons, like where it was like deep, deep cuts and things like that, they would put yarrow on it. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. So then if, let's say it's somebody with blood clotting issues, can carry that with them. So then using it on like whatever, because a bruise is like a whole thing. Like it always looks like, oh my God,
bruising. I mean,
like
it will help bruises. It won't help bruises like helichrysum helps bruises.
okay.
Right. But
Yeah.
that's the other thing with people who clot is, if they bump something, they might bruise real easy. You could put yarrow on that. I probably would still use helichrysum for that. Or the other one that you could throw in there for just the bruising, if the skin is not broken, you could put hyssop on it, and hyssop will behave very similar to helichrysum. But if the skin is broken, don't use hyssop. Use helichrysum. But like the wound, like the open wound, yarrow, there's nothing better in the essential oil world better than yarrow.
And then if somebody like that also has issues with agitation, he can just inhale the oil instead of taking it
For
internally. Like
let's say
so somebody who has a blood clot issue and also has agitation issues. If
agitation,
yarrow,
yes.
You wouldn't use it internally though at all.
I probably would. Yeah, I probably would. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you.
We'll have a tincture out here pretty quick, so it will, like I made the tincture really strong with the essential oil yarrow, and so you could do that. It I don't know, sometimes people are a little bit easier taking a tincture than taking an essential oil.
Yeah.
I'm
the other way around, but most people are.
Yes. Yeah. And so like if you have a client or something, you could have them take the tincture.
Yeah. But then if we're looking at something like, yarrow, German chamomile, whichever one of those blue oils that you do the 3 weeks on, 1 week off, if somebody already has issues with iron, would that be an issue taking it?
Shouldn't, as long as they follow that 3 weeks on, 1 week off. Okay. It's because it's not really like in 3 or 4 weeks or 5 weeks, it's not going to happen. It's going to be like if they did that for 5 or 6 months. And so in really severe cases, I've had them take it for like 6-8 weeks. But at some point you got to keep doing like the break. But like if somebody's in crisis, it's like, let's get him out of crisis. And then when they had the blood work done, the iron hadn't gone down. But like using Melissa the way we do, like we take it daily all the time, that you could call like a tonic oil or a tonic herb, where you could take that the rest of your life, you'll be fine. There's certain plants and oils that you can do that with, and then there's certain ones that you use them for a little bit and then you take a break. You don't use them all.
Yeah.
So like savory and yarrow and things like that, you use when you need it, but you don't use it like a tonic herb.
Mhm.
Uh, golden seal in the herbal world would be like, you use it for a while, but you take a break from
Yeah,
it
if you take a
time to
break.
time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you. And then, okay, now let's go to my actual questions. So a few things. When we talked about travel and the oils last week and now again. So what I'm wondering about is we went over the whole list. So, but the only thing I didn't ask was what about sleeping? So very, very long flight. Like I tend to fall asleep, but that's the only time that I take like a melatonin for like a 15-hour flight.
Sure.
Can I like do you have any other options that I like what else would be like would I take something like lady sleepers? Would it give me this
Lady slipper will probably knock you out the best. Spikenard would work, valerian oil or the herb. Even marjoram has a potential, and sometimes you could even use something like tarragon to help you fall asleep. Marjoram's good because it pulls you out of the sympathetic state and fortifies the parasympathetic, which is rest and repair. So you're looking to the plants that do that the most. So tarragon, marjoram, spikenard, valerian, vetiver. What's another one that's a really good bang for? I mean, lavender will do it, but I find that lavender, it will work internally, but it works better inhaled. Like you said, and just keep inhaling it, inhaling it. Another one that's a little bit of a sleeper in that area is I've had a few people where nothing we seem to be using was helping them fall asleep, and I had them do hyssop, just like deepening the breath. But with all the stuff you're already doing, I would say probably spikenard or lady slipper would be the thing to get you in there. The other thing you could do is vagal tone, which has a lot of that stuff already mixed in. And again, it just keeps pushing your body into that rest and repair mode.
and
If you
that's the spagyric one or is it the oil itself can it be taken
either one,
internally?
you could do
Okay.
the tincture or you could do the blend or the oil blend.
Okay.
And then a couple other ones would be like tuberose if you want to be fancy. Like if you have some tuberose will usually knock you out. If you're on the plane and you're laying on your pillow or your head's against the window or whatever, you start inhaling it, it will usually knock you out.
Blue lotus or any lotus?
Lotus would probably work. Lotus would be better like when you put it on the body, like it calms the body, but inhaling it starts to stimulate the processes of the mind. It might help you sleep, but it won't be sedating like spikenard or lady slipper or something like that. Yeah.
And then that usually you would do it like what, once, twice in that kind of long flight?
Lady slipper, I usually do a drop or two or full or full dropper once or two times. And then in a little bit, if I'm not falling asleep, I'll do it again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least I have different options, and it's oils I'm usually,
Because especially on a plane, sometimes it's not always your agitation, but everybody's like agitated, and sometimes you just, you just gotta override that. And flying overseas, people get stir crazy on the plane. Like
of course,
you reach a point where you can feel the anxiety on the plane, like everybody's ready to get off, and you're only halfway there.
Yeah, which is why I tend to just sleep the entire time, and it's easier on a night flight because I'm like gone. But when you live during the day, and tarragon is interesting. I've actually been using it for the last couple of days because there was some stuff that came up, and I think because you mentioned it's also helpful for digestion, And I kind of feel like it's been doing something helpful with that as well.
Oh, good.
Without
Yeah, it should.
even, yeah.
Yeah, it should.
And so usually what does it do? It kind of makes you feel better. Like what's like,
Well, any time that you improve vagal tone, you're improving the digestive processes. And then it's antispasmodic to the gut. It helps, you know, digestion and like you could think of stress in the gut is the nerves aren't firing to the gut like they should. And so tarragon is one of the oils that helps the nerves function properly to the gut. Just like when you sit on your foot and your foot falls to sleep and you get up and start walking around and you can't bend it right, and that happens to your gut. And so tarragon helps to make the nerve like innervate the organs better and makes them function better.
okay. So then even somebody who's potentially like getting like stomach aches often, which is kind of induced by stress, that would be, because that was my train of thought for somebody, and I'm like, oh, okay, great. Thank you.
First rule of thumb with something like that, tarragon, anise, rosemary, you know, anything like that. Because the thing is I think we were talking about this on the weekend, is it's toning to the parasympathetic activity, but it's also toning to the sympathetic nerves. And so it makes it real easy to balance the nerves, because like if either side loses tone, it just starts getting wonky in your body. Like, you know, things just start not working well. And so one of the things that's nice about tarragon and rosemary, and then another one that you wouldn't think about, it would be oregano. They're toning to the sympathetic side, so that you know, like there's times where you break out into weird sweats and you start to lose like coordination and things like that. A lot of times that's tone in the sympathetic nerves, and when you're flying and you know, tired or fatigued, one or the other will start to lose tone a little bit. And so the thing that's nice about using tarragon is that it balances them both out. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, this one I already ordered like a mini one, so I can put in my bag. Yes. Okay, and then some. Okay, so when we're talking at the end of the class on Sunday, you talked about oils for inflammation. You talked about black seed, black cumin. Somebody was asking about black seed complex. So, so black seed complex would be just what? Black cumin, turmeric, frankincense, or anything else?
But it's got a little bit of black pepper, just because the black pepper sometimes enhances the turmeric.
The turmeric, yeah.
Yeah. And let me look up what's in it, because I can't quite remember. And it's got myrrh and galbanum. Oh,
okay, that's lovely.
Yeah. So, but it's real heavy on black cumin and galbanum.
Okay, so then my question would be, because I take galbanum daily, I take black cumin daily. So when we're talking about blends, would that be the same thing as in terms of the strength and what it's giving me? Would that be the same thing if I'm taking it separately and if I'm taking it all together?
Or why you would be using black seed or black cumin and galbanum, it would work the same. Like if you're using galbanum for other things, like, you know, galbanum's tied to like anointing oils and certain kinds of expansion, it wouldn't do that. But as far as inflammation and pain and things like that, yes, it would definitely work in that arena.
So probably better for me to do that as opposed to doing. So then same thing with like frankincense, it would give me the benefits for pain and inflammation, but if I wanted other benefits from frankincense,
right,
not so much.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, and that's why when we're looking at a blend like the Monarda complex, then the Melissa would give me the antiviral, but it's not going to give me the same relaxation as if I'm
Yeah,
taking
it will give
separately.
you some relaxation, but not the same as if you were taking it by itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because it was like I was looking at the black seed complex and I was wondering really what would be okay. And
Yeah.
then so when we're looking at something like mental still,
Mhm.
the blend that you have, because you're doing that blend mostly for the mind, but they're also
Mind and some,
antiviral.
yeah, some in the body too. Like it's antiviral, but it just keeps the mind and the body from degenerating when there's like a lot of stress or a lot of inflammation in the body. And so, you know, when there's a lot of stress or a lot of inflammation, your immune system gets impacted, and then it starts like triggering certain things in the lower responses that eventually affect the mind. So you are fortifying the body, and by fortifying the body, it's fortifying the mind. So as weird as it sounds, like even though that's like for keeping the mind like strong and from going to those crazy places, you're still fortifying the immune system even when you're treating it like that. Like you're actually kind of treating the immune system so it produces like more stability to the mind, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So then again, on the same idea, like bay laurel, for example, cypress, these are things I take on a daily
Sure.
basis.
Yeah. They
So
would all
would
be
you
working in that
say-
arena already. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, bay laurel I really take for the immune support properties, but something like cypress that I also take because of like the gums and all of that stuff. So would you still take it
And
separately?
lymphatic, that's a good question. I would probably take it separate by itself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anytime you start to mix things, you don't get all the all the
Mhm.
substances become a new substance. So you don't always get all the benefits from a single oil when it goes into a blend. So it depends on what the purpose of the blend is. But like when you're trying to do all those kinds of different things, I'd probably stick to bay laurel by itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So bay laurel by itself and cypress by
Yeah.
itself as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And then doing that, so doing the blend, if I decide to do that, then do that as an additional thing.
Yeah, you can do it as an addition. The
Okay.
other thing, bay laurel has a good impact on the mind, but it also has a little bit of protective qualities too, like with your travel. So just like the energetic contamination or other people's emotions and whatever little projections, it does flush some of that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Which can
And
be very
then
valuable when you're in an airport or
yes, and then
traveling.
you
Yeah.
yes, for sure. And around stress and around family and yeah, all that. Okay, thank you. And then last week we talked about the Ankh and the Dorje. And you mentioned how you can do healing with that, which is amazing. Then I have a very intellectual question that's really not about, in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's great, that's working. How do you determine, like, how long are you doing that for? Like when you do healing, you have an idea of like, oh, you're cleaning this, you're cleaning that, but when you're working with something like a Dorje or like an Ankh and you're doing that for healing, what's your like
Until you start to expand. Like you can even ride the expansion a little bit, but you're waiting for the expansion.
okay, so when it feels to you like, okay, that's what I wasn't.
Yeah. Sometimes it's
Okay.
short, sometimes it takes a while. Yeah.
And then you know that something is actually happening. Okay.
Mhm.
And then you can still work with like either of these for like when you're doing like meditations, like
Oh yeah.
Twin Hearts, Great Invocation. You're basically doing that instead of hands, like
Right. Yeah. You point
basically.
rock down or you
Mhm.
point the door J down. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. Okay, just checking. And then one last question, ADHD. If I'm dealing with somebody who's, and that's not somebody that's necessarily going to start taking stuff to treat that. But if it's somebody that has all these issues and I need to treat them without even them knowing that, like either somebody I'm working with and they can't even sit still. Like, is there, like, what are my options? Like diffusing, like what? Rosemary,
Yeah,
splendor,
diffusing
what?
or put it on yourself and, let you be the diffuser kind of.
And then the best options would be, because I remember you mentioned rosemary before, that it kind of works on the mind.
I see. To bring kind of like a stabilizing effect, rosemary, tarragon, sometimes I use like firs and spruces in situations like that, or cistus.
Yes, I was about to
Yeah,
ask about cistus.
cistus.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if it's somebody who is willing to like do more and actually take something internally, then like the cistus, like the
Yeah, I
surgery
kind of
would
use
be
the
an
same
option.
things, but just a more direct approach. Yeah.
And if somebody is on some kind of various medications for like ADHD and such, would it interact with any of those?
Cistus won't. No. No.
Okay.
Most of the
And
stuff,
then,
doesn't, but there's a few things. I'd have to go back and look at notes, but
okay, but this specifically, no. Okay.
yeah,
And then
cistus is good.
would splendor be a good option as
Yeah,
well?
sure. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to take internal, but like
no, but that's if like
but you could put
diffusing
it on, or you could put it
put
on
it
their
on.
wrist, or
Mhm.
have them smell, while you're doing the healing, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Barbara, then Megan.
Hey, Miss Barbara.
Hey there. I have a question with a quick answer and one with a longer answer. So I'll do the quick one first. I was just using St. John's wort with the blood purification process,
Mm-hmm.
and my liver got quite hot. Is there something else I should do?
It got hot. Like you felt it in your body, or you could put your hand on there and that area felt hot.
Internally, it felt very warm, almost hot.
Felt very warm.
And I haven't had that experience with.
Yeah, I mean, you use St. John's wort to actually even treat the liver, like so I wouldn't say that. It just makes me think that maybe your liver was going through like a detox, or was being stimulated and something was being purged out, or a process was jump starting. But like in the old days, like one of the ways, if you wanted to rapidly clean the liver, you would mix a little bit of aloes with St. John's wort, and like when you would pee and stuff, like you could smell like this weird funk come out, and it was liver related. Like it's a way to purge the liver quite substantially. So my guess is your liver was purging. I don't know that you need to do anything else besides that. Did it cool down afterwards, or?
It's cooling. It's not back to baseline, but it's not as warm as it was. I did take a drop or two of sandalwood internally a day or two ago.
I was just going to say sandalwood. Yeah.
So
Perfect.
should I repeat that? Is that maybe what's got the liver going already?
Maybe like how long ago did you take it?
A day or two ago. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I take it again today. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That should help cool it down.
Thank you. So the longer answer question.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was this weekend that mentioned Assemblage point, and there's lovely information about the oil on the website, but I want to know about the Assemblage point, what it is, and could you speak to that a bit?
Well, so the assemblage point is tied to something in the shamanic tradition where you have all these pieces of stimuli that the body is processing, the emotions and the mind, and then the assemblage point would be how they all assemble, and then like your point of perception that you see the world through. And so part of having like expansion or like a realization is your ability to break out of that fixated perception to see other areas, because it's like looking through a microscope all the time. Like you see like lots of details, but you don't see everything else that's in the room. And so like being able to shift the assemblage point means that you are able to pull in different perceptions so that you can have an even bigger idea or bigger picture of what's going on in any given situation. So it goes back to even like earlier when I was talking about that dimensional thinking. That would be very similar. Like you're breaking out of your normal stream of thinking and processing. And so, you know, in the shamanic traditions, they would even like locate, like there's this thing that comes out of the heart, and you look at like where it's at and try to shift it. But I never found that to be, you know, super effective. You know, sometimes they would also do like a blow to the between the shoulder blades to shift it, and that works. But sometimes you have to get slapped really hard between the shoulder blades for it to work. In you know, there's a whole kind of group that does stuff with the assemblage point, and they use stones and things to try to manipulate it, but it's really it's also like tied to how your mind works. And so even shifting into intuition, you're really shifting your assemblage point. And so just think of it as like the reason they call it assemblage point. It is like this point of perception that's assembled from all your sensory information, your past experiences, your body experiences, you know, stimuli from the environment, you know, your opinions, your thoughts, all these things kind of compile and assemble this point of perception. And so the idea would be that you know it's perceiving like in the aura, and it's like you can like shift it so that it perceives like these different spots on the aura, but that starts to get a little too technical. And so if you just look at it from the point of view of, you know, shifting your perceptions where, you know, like you're sitting there thinking about something, and then you have a realization of something like, oh, this is what they meant, or, oh, this is what's going on, or you see a bigger picture. That is literally your assemblage point is also moving or shifting. And so that's basically the idea of the assemblage point.
Thank you. So it's intended to shift. It's not
Yeah.
like it isn't something that gets out of alignment. It's intended to shift.
Right. Well, the idea would be that if it was out of alignment, that's causing suffering, especially mental, emotional suffering. But the more fluid that it is, it's like your ability to shift and adapt, like adjust and adapt, is heightened. And so ideally, the assemblage point is fluid, where it can shift to different things. But if you think about like, this is like how, like their explanation kind of, you know, say you're doing work and you're grinding on a bunch of paperwork, and you've been alone for a while, and you're really in this place where you've been spending time alone, and you're working on your paperwork, and your mind is a particular way. And then you have to walk out and make a presentation to a handful of people, and all of a sudden you become outgoing, and you become very interactive, and you know, you put out that information, and you shift from being kind of introverted and doing your work to being kind of extroverted and doing whatever you have to do. Another way of saying that is you shifted your assemblage point. Like you shifted from being like focused and introverted into like, okay, it's showtime. I have to get out and interact. You know, and so even if you're sitting there with friends and you're having conversation, and then, you know, you walk into the next room and your family's there, and you start behaving a little different because that's your family, and you have different ways of interacting with your family. That would also be you having a fluid assemblage point so that you can shift into that way of acting or behaving.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier something about the heart.
Mhm.
is there any connection between that and the heart seed?
No, like I used to think so, but over a period of time, it's just it has more to do with like lower emotions and things. Like the more that the body's overwhelmed by homeostatic emotions, the assemblage point tends to go like point down. And when you're like in the clouds and not very practical and everything's magical and everything, it tends to be more up and not just like kind of straight out. And so the idea is that if you shift the assemblage point, it will shift the thinking, and it will shift it for a little tiny bit, but then the person usually just pops right back. And so it's almost like a point between like the heart and the outer part of your aura.
Okay.
Like there's almost like this like kind of like tube or vessel that is between your heart and the aura.
On the front of the body?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Megan, then David.
Hey, Miss Megan.
Hey Greg, last week somebody else was asking, I think it was Troy, about a friend who is kind of in a phase where he's like kind of wandering, not looking for a job, just kind of aimless and stuff.
Mhm.
And you suggested neroli for him, and the way you described the situation sounded like really accurate for myself, which was that the heart was like depleted, and it felt like the person couldn't really like see the future or have hope or sense of the future.
Right.
That is exactly how it has always been for me. Like every time I think about different options for myself, everything's just blank. Like I can't get a sense of one over another, like even vastly different things. And I had a little neroli, and I just took inhalations of it, several evenings this week. There was like one like fraction of a second where I started to feel like I was like getting a sense of things, in my life that in a way I never had, but that went away and didn't come back. And I wondered if there's a stronger way I could use neroli.
How did you use it? How did you use it?
I just did inhalation out of the bottle.
Try doing the materialization breath.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, you can visualize something, but you don't necessarily have to visualize anything. You can just just kind of be still and then do the materialization breath, with it, and then be still. The other way, boy, for you, I keep getting the back heart, and the back heart is all about breaking down boundaries. Either boundaries from the life or parameters that other people have put on us, or self-imposed boundaries. And it just helps to kind of break down the boundaries or step out of those boundaries. And if you really want to make it more potent, I used to do this practice. It was quite a while ago, but where you do it with the front solar plexus and the back heart, where you think of yourself like the things, okay, like say you're thinking about like work or something like that. You think of all the stuff with your work, and you inhale with your awareness on the solar plexus. And then when you go to the back heart, you think of other people, or basically not yourself. Think of the situations, the people you work with, the people you're trying to attract, say, to your business, whatever. And you do that on the back heart. And then you go back to the solar plexus, you think of yourself. And then you go back to the back heart, and you think of others. And if you keep going back and forth like that, it manually kind of pumps the energy body to push through like a boundary or an obstacle. And so more boundaries than anything, because like, we don't always choose them, but we just have these ideas of like, oh, this is what you do when I can't do this, I can't do that, fill in the blank to any of that. And, that's just kind of either an imposed like boundary or self-imposed boundary. And so it just helps you to break through that. Like, like I think the other day we were talking, I can't remember where, but how like sometimes we set a deadline, like, okay, I have to have this done by X amount of time, and you start getting close and you're like, I'm not going to do it. And you start stressing out because you're not going to meet the deadline. But a lot of times those deadlines are self-imposed, right? They're not necessarily something that, it's just you would like to have it happen, or you need it to happen for whatever reason, or you think this is when I should have it done. And you start getting close and you're like, oh, I got to scramble together to do this. And then you realize, I could make it a day later. Like, I'm the only one judging this. There's times where there's hard deadlines. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you blow those off. But a lot of times, you have a to-do list or something, or you're like, I need to be successful by this or by that. And, the deadline starts to make you a little bit nuts, And so it still keeps you moving in that area, but my experience is it made my perceptions more realistic of what it was going to take for something to happen, if that makes sense.
And do this with neroli.
Yeah, neroli is great for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then last week, or it was maybe 2 weeks ago, you recommended inhaling ambret on the ajna and right temple, connected to the prefrontal cortex. And so I did that, and I just wanted to ask if you think I should keep going, or if it seems like that thing is better. It was like some blockage or something there.
Yeah, it's better, but I'd keep doing it for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I also threw in behavioral support and the
Oh
aura
yeah.
programming.
Good. Yeah.
Does that seem like something that I need to also follow up with and keep going?
I like that for you, just because you're trying to like adapt to this new situation or create a new situation. So, being able to step away from old behaviors or to refine behaviors and make them better or stronger. The one that I would throw in there, which actually has a bunch of neroli in it, is angel support.
Okay.
Like you could supplement, instead of doing it with neroli, you could do it with angel support.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just thinking about, do you think I should do other practices to like just energize the emotional body, or should I keep working on the spleen more?
Do things to increase intuition.
Okay.
Yeah. The intuition is going to help you like innovate and learn what you need to learn and make the adjustments. And so
Okay.
I would.
You don't think like I'm super depleted and I need to do like a lot of
I think it's like heightening intuition will make it better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I just kind of got on a little cinnamon kick this morning anyway. If I was gonna burn some cinnamon incense or diffuse it, because I think it's just good for me anyway. My kids are 7 and 12.
Yeah,
Would
good.
that like get
Yeah.
them too wound up? Okay.
No, you're good.
Okay, cross cinnamon off the list. Got it. 'Cause I don't need any more of that. Yeah. School starting, I'll burn my cinnamon later. Okay.
No, you can burn it around the kids.
That's
No.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, you can burn it around the kids.
Okay, I thought you were predicting my question and saying it would make them hyper, and I don't want to.
No, you could use it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, David, then to Joel.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, David.
Quick question for you. I've had a
Yes.
cough for a while, and we've got some people visiting who've been exposed to other people, living with other people who had COVID recently. So what would you recommend? I think you recommended thyme at one point.
Thyme, if you have Monarda or Melissa, that would be good. If not, bay laurel, eucalyptus radiata, Ravensara, Neoli. cinnamon, lemongrass. Any of those would be good around, single oils would be good for that. And then immune support. What's that one that I always forget the name?
Complex?
No, Monarda complex, but the one panacea. Panacea would be good. Yeah, any version of that. Yeah. Do you have any of those?
I don't think so.
Tell me what you have. Hyssop?
I do have hyssop.
I mean, if you don't have any of those other things, hyssop will do it in a pinch.
Okay.
Yeah. What else you have though? Like, tell me what you got.
I know I have eucalyptus, but I don't think it's the radiata. I think it's a different eucalyptus.
Probably globulus. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That will work. It's not quite as antiviral as radiata, but it's in the ballpark.
Okay.
Yeah, they belong to the same club.
The way you spoke of these, would that be the order of?
No, I'm just randomly throwing things
okay.
off the top of my head. Yeah.
Okay. I think I have lemongrass too. I know I have cinnamon leaf.
Yeah, both of those would be best. Do one or the other, but both of those would be best taken a couple drops internally.
Okay. Okay, super. Thank you so much. That's it.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
And then go ahead to Jal, then Robert.
Hey, Tijal.
You're unmuted, but we can't hear you. So go ahead and keep trying. Sometimes people have to leave and then come back in. I'll let you in. Because yeah, we don't hear you. So Tajal, keep trying. I'll help as much as I can on my end. But go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Hey, Greg, how you doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
Good. Class was really good this weekend.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed.
I'm looking forward to the study group.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, my number one question, or my only question for today, I think, is about diarrhea. I've had diarrhea for about 12 days now.
Oh wow, that's bad.
Yeah, it's getting better, quote unquote, but it still continues. I'm taking tarragon for it at the
Do
moment.
you have cinnamon? You have cinnamon?
Yes.
Try
Yes.
taking cinnamon. I know it seems a little counterintuitive, but cinnamon will work. Also, like from the health food store, you don't want to take wormwood essential oil internally, but wormwood capsules will knock it out. And then also just good old-fashioned charcoal capsules will usually stop that.
Okay.
Yeah, but cinnamon is, because part of it is if there's still any infection, the cinnamon will help to knock that out. But cinnamon is very good for the peristalsis, the movement of the digestive tract. And sometimes with diarrhea, it's just like there's a spasm and it just like opens up and things just kind of move through. And it helps to instill the movement again. And so it's kind of the old school way of treating it. Tarragon would be helpful. Sometimes like something like galbanum can be helpful, but I find that cinnamon actually is probably the first go-to thing.
I did try cinnamon early on, and it didn't seem to have any effect, but who knows? The tarragon that I started, I guess it was Sunday, seems to have had the most impact.
Okay, well, if that's working, I would keep in that, maybe like go down that vein. Anise, rosemary, you could add a little bit of those
Okay.
and see if that doesn't help. Like if it's working for you, I would say don't change it.
Okay.
But boy, 12 days, that's a long time.
Yes, I'm still doing pretty good.
Okay.
And this is not the way I expected to lose weight, but
Right.
limiting what I eat and trying to be judicious about it, and okay, whatever.
And you're getting enough fluids and all that?
I'm trying to. It's,
okay.
you know, it's not hot here, but it's been in the 80s.
Mhm.
So that, and very humid. So my body's like quite confused by it all.
Mhm.
Started putting some squeezed lemon in my water to help.
Oh, perfect.
And I'll add some anise tonight and see if that can put me over the top of this and head back to normal.
Boy. Yeah, keep me posted on that.
I will. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead to Jal, then Sonia.
And Robert, even if you have some wormwood or Paracelsus, you can't take it internal, but rub it on your abdomen.
And I was thinking digestive calm. I didn't know if that would.
That's more for
Okay.
like something different. You would think by the name, but it's
Okay. I was going to ask that question. I forgot. Thanks, Sam.
yeah.
But I've been putting marjoram on too.
Marjoram can help. Like even the inhalations of marjoram. Marjoram will help, especially like if it's the body's in a very deep stress state. 12 days of diarrhea would put it in a stress state. But
Well,
you've also been taking tarragon, so that probably knocked a lot of that out.
yeah, I think that's part of it. The marjoram still feels good when I apply it on my stomach. So
Oh, good.
I'm thinking of continuing that. I'll see what I have on Paracelsus and see what I can do there too.
Yeah. Wormwood, absinthium, anything like that, just applied topically.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
And then go ahead to Jal. Let's try now.
Hey, good job.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Hey,
Yes, last week class was awesome. Like
good.
yesterday, I had so many mini sleeps. Like I just fall on sleep. I was so relaxed. I don't know. And I just ordered today for the coming up class. But yeah, so I have a question. When I was on the website, I was looking for the salt scrub. So like it's good to have all three, like a green, orange, and violet healer scrub, or just one will work?
Probably one will work. Like, I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do. But like, if you're just trying to do a good, like you're just trying to clean up the energy body somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do either green or orange or like a Palo Santo chakra root cleanser. Probably, I don't know. I go through little phases where I have a favorite one. Probably my favorite one though is chakra root cleanser. Like, God, I just.
So yeah, mine is also CRC, but what the green, orange, and violet will do? Like if I buy individually, and
Yeah,
how
so
should I use
green
it?
has a breaking down effect. Orange has an expelling effect and cleans up the body's tissues, generates lymphatic movement, and violet is good for like if there's emotions or the body's at a low vibration. Um, uh, so it has like psychological / physical effects.
Okay. And
Yeah.
the CRC is best for everything, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good for, it cleans up a certain aspect of the aura. It's the reason why we call it chakra root cleanser is it cleans up and it makes you expel out of the roots of the chakras. So it's a very deep cleanser, and it does still have an effect on the psyche, and then it's a lymphatic stimulant, so it helps stimulate lymphatic movement.
And can I use that or any of which one you will recommend to use me for the twin heart meditation when I do to put in the water? Like salt scrub or just add couple of drops of chakra root cleanser?
Like in a foot bath?
Yeah, in a foot bath.
Um,
I'm looking for me.
Yeah. Do you have I'll give you a couple of choices. Do you have either spikenard, ylang ylang, or hyssop?
All three of them.
Why don't you try rotating them? I'd probably start with spikenard. and put about 10 drops in your foot bath.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And another question was for the spray. I saw some couple of spray. So if
Mhm.
I want to clean my major chakras and the chakra web, which one I should use?
For the webs,
Yeah.
for the webs, I would probably use either orange healer, or I would use, there's a newer oil that's been on there. It's been on there for a few months, but Opodeldoc.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you can still go to hyssop.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if I make a spray with the hyssop, that will also clean my chakra, or I should
It will
make
clean
two
it
different.
somewhat. Like orange healer and Opodeldoc will clean it much more substantially. But like if you're just trying to make something with what you have, like it's a good B choice.
Yeah, I have the chakra root cleanser and I use all the time, but I saw the different sprays. So I thought I'll
Right,
just
right,
check
right.
with you.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I make salt scrub with the oil which I have, and I don't have the alchemical salt, so then also it will be more powerful, or does it make any difference?
If like you make it yourself?
Yeah,
And what was the question though? You're making it yourself and
I don't have the alchemical salt, which you make the special salt.
right.
So then also it will be the same kind of powerful, or
Yeah, like I put a bunch of holy water in it as well. And so like put the salt and the essential oil together and then like hold your hands over it and then chant for a while.
Om.
Yeah. Like you do something like Om or Om Mani Padme Hum, something like that.
So that's the way we energize oil and spray, right?
It's a way to consecrate it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there any way you can teach us how to make alchemical salt?
It's a bunch of different salts that you have to acquire from all over the world. Like it's complicated. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll probably make another batch of it here sometime in the future. It's just I usually make a 5-gallon bucket and we went through it all. And so I only have a little tiny bit.
Yeah, so we can purchase it. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Chemical salt is very special.
Yeah.
And give me just 1 second. Go ahead, Sonia, then Lolly.
Hey, Sonia.
Hi. Over the last few weekends of classes, things have gotten worse in terms of, dreams and waking up and startle reactions, awake and asleep.
Like in your sleep, it's been happening, or like even during the day, you get a little bit of a
Both.
startle response.
Sleep and awake.
And is there like strong stimuli, or you're just starting to get startled for no reason, or little reason?
It's a big reason.
What's that?
It's a big reason.
So you have big reasons why it's happening. Okay. So I do a couple of things. I would try, we were just talking about like yarrow, or you have yarrow or dark blue tansy. I'm sure in a class you have it somewhere.
Yeah.
And so another one is still point. It was in a class like maybe a year or two ago. But if you have that would also work. And just start inhaling that stuff like all the time. If you have a little bit of yarrow, I would even take it internal. Especially in the moment where you're feeling agitated and something happened and you got startled, or it'll calm the body down really fast. Like it calms down the agitation very, very quickly. And so I would use those. And then the other thing like we were just saying, like wormwood, absinthium, paracelsus, or opodeldoc, topically to the abdomen can actually be quite helpful.
Wormwood, Paracelsus, and
There's this blend called opodeldoc, and I can't remember. I don't think it's been in a class yet, has it?
no.
No, I don't think it has. So just whichever one you have. You know, just put like 4 or 5 drops in your hand and like a little bit of lotion or massage oil, and then rub it all over the abdomen. Yeah.
And so on the abdomen, it's supposed to do what?
It still is calming to the nerves. Like if you look at somebody who has like you said, increased startle response, or is getting agitated with like some big situation, there is significant amount of tension in the digestive tract. And so if you calm that down, it actually will help your body relax and not be in a stress state. So it will just help shift your body out of that state of stress.
Okay.
Stress or overstimulation, however you want to say it. You know, they're kind of the same thing, but yeah.
It's for old stuff. And you know, like for the gut and the whole alimentary canal, I have really slow peristalsis. Well,
Cinnamon can help that. Can your body handle cinnamon?
I don't know. I'm really overheated generally.
Yeah.
I mean, I put it in some things sometimes, but like the actual spice. But
try doing it instead of using cinnamon. And you know how we were talking about putting that stuff on the abdomen, and then do like a little bit of that massage where you either work the points or just go in a circular motion, and try to jumpstart it that way. For you, like I can't remember. Were you saying spikenard your body doesn't agree with, or vetiver?
The spikenard tends to take off my skin.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean, because one of the things that might work for you with the peristalsis is a drop or two of vetiver internally, but only if your body can handle it. If it can't, because it would be cool, but it would also help tone things up so that works better.
What about aloe vera?
That would clear out some heat. I don't know that if it would stimulate the peristalsis, but definitely would clear out heat and inflammation. And so if you're having heat issues, I mean, that's a great thing to use.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you used aloe vera juice before?
Yeah. I mean, a previous doctor wanted me to take like a quarter cup a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said my gut was so overheated that it was burning up the nutrition of the food.
Wow. Yeah, I go back to the yarrow and the vetiver and aloe vera juice if you can do it, and then the same stuff that we talked about topically. All of that should be helpful with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's for overstimulation of
That's
nerves.
overstimulation of your nerves, but it also would be to calm down the gut as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They kind of go hand in hand. You know what I mean? Like when we start getting like that startle response gets up, or or we get, you know, like overstimulated by different pieces of stimuli from the environment, you know, if you look at the physiology, the gut is usually agitated as well. Like, you know, even if it's projections from other people or just overstimulated, the gut, the muscles in the gut will really tense up. And so they kind of go hand in hand. So you're kind of treating both the gut, and you're also treating the overstimulation or the startle response that sometimes gets kicked in. Yeah.
Well, I used to be like in a partial state of shock all the time. My eyes were all dilated and I had nystagmus, and I had that for a lot of years.
Yeah.
My eyes aren't dilated anymore, but
The tarragon should help that. Benzoin should help that. Rose should help that. Neroli could help that. So inhale those other things from time to time, but it sounds like it's gotten a bit better, but it will help that. And they'll be supportive of everything that we're talking about for the other things as well.
well, I have a hard time getting things done. It's just like getting things started and going.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just really exhausted all the time.
Yeah, it's hard when you're tired. Yeah. I mean, if you think about what you're saying about your gut, that is another way of saying a very stress-plagued gut. And stress in the body starts to shut down the body, and it makes it harder and harder for you to do things, get things done. Like it's the great inhibitor. It's the great magnifier and the great inhibitor. Like it does both. If you have a problem, it magnifies it. And if you need to get, you know, the body processes, it just starts shutting things down. Yeah. Try working with some of those oils and see how they treat you. And then do the pressure on the abdomen like we did in that digestive class.
Yeah, I have a sleep disorder, and to counter it, I am always in sympathetic mode. And it was really hard on my body, so I learned yoga. So my body was relaxed, but my sympathetic was still active.
Yeah.
So I've got some odd things that counter each other.
Sure. Well, those things should help that. Yeah, those things should help that.
Okay.
And then go ahead, Lolly, then David.
Hey, Lolly.
Hey, just a couple of follow-ups. So at the beginning of the conversation, you were talking about cinnamon, and then when you really called to do that with the awareness on the navel 6 basic, would that be only with cinnamon, or is there any other?
No, you don't even have to use an oil. You can just do that by itself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like a huge tip, because I tend to get super cold when other people are not. Yeah. Okay, so you don't even need
so like think of it like this, like when you're doing it, so there's 3 centers you're doing it on. Think of it, you're having, like, if you divide your awareness into 4 parts, you know, 25% is going to be on the basic, 25 is going to be on the sex, 50% is going to be on the navel. If you do that, the body will warm up.
Oh, percent. Okay, I like the percentages. Okay, sex, and then the 50% of the, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then if I am using an oil, then you would do.
I wouldn't even use an oil. Like if I would use an oil for that, I because you're not really shooting for the heat. You're helping the chakras to function together. If you're going to use an oil, I'd probably use like aloes, you know, something like that. You know, something you wouldn't even think about, like being hot or cold or something. It's just, but it helps those chakras function together better.
Okay. Oh my God, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And then the other question was about what Robert was asking about the diarrhea, and you gave a lot of different options. I'm wondering, something like that, would the ANS support be helpful in any way?
It could. ANS support, cinnamon, I mean, like when somebody, if I remember right, I think Robert got sick, right? Yeah. So Robert's dealing with it from sickness, but like sometimes like people will get just like really bouts of diarrhea. I'll actually have them use marjoram and inhale marjoram a lot. So I mean, he's already intuitively going to the marjoram, but like have them inhale it a lot and put it on their body. And because part of that is you're when you're having all that happen, your body's in sympathetic state and you're not shifting into parasympathetic, which is rest and repair, but also digest. Your digestive system's not working. And so any of the oils that pull you into more vagal tone or better parasympathetic activity, which marjoram's really good for it, tarragon's really good for it. Galbanum kind of does it. All those oils that we always talk about that shove you there, in theory, should have some impact there. But sometimes, there might be a little bit of infection or a bunch of inflammation. And so, like, if there's a lot of inflammation, I would still have them work marjoram, but I would use something like yarrow or German chamomile to calm those things down. But with like coming out of a sickness or something like that, I'd keep it pretty straightforward. Like, just move the body into a deeper vagal tone. Yeah.
Okay. And then a question I actually wasn't planning for, but what would you do with like diarrhea with kids? Is there anything that you would do,
like little kids, like how young?
Yeah, like maybe a 1-year-old and like 4-year-old, for example.
Like probably Roman chamomile. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you would do that like the tiny bit internally to kind of.
Yeah.
Would you do that topically as well on the abdomen?
You could, like, the 1-year-old, like the mom might not want you to give it a little, because like with that, I'd put it in water, I put a drop and stir it up and then just give the child like a spoonful or two out of the glass and then stick it in the fridge. But if the mom's not wanting that, put a couple, like a drop in some lotion, and then, I would start with the arms, just because like with a baby, if you go right to the abdomen, they tense up. So relax, relax the body and then put some on the abdomen.
Okay.
Yeah, that should
and
work.
then if you were to put it in, so the body tonic we talked about, but if I were to put something in like a small roller ball like you do with the jojoba, even for like if I want to use it sometimes on like the feet, what would be the ratio that you would do it for kids?
I would keep it still pretty simple. Like, you kind of want to just maybe have an equivalent of about a drop on their body, like when they're a 1-year-old. They don't need much. And so in a roller ball, I mean, just a regular roller ball still might be okay. Because you're not going to like do it all over their feet. You're going to just kind of hit a couple spots and then, rub it in a little bit. That would probably be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, David, then Chris.
Hey, David.
Hey, Greg. So clarification, I asked about a cough and then immune system, and you rattled off, I have a list. And I wasn't sure what was a cough or what was immune. Or
I was just doing immune system. I didn't even address the cough.
Okay.
Cough. Do we know, is it like more of a spasmodic cough? Or are you still producing some mucus?
I don't know. I don't think so.
So it's like a dry cough?
Yeah, it's a dry cough that I've had for a while.
I would probably try hyssop. Like hyssop could be a good thing. You could also you could use, if you have mullein, the mullein tincture. If not, run out to a health food store and get some mullein. And
I do have mullein, yeah.
Yeah, use mullein.
Mullein?
Between the hyssop and the mullein, it should knock it out.
Okay, and the hyssop internally?
No, just inhale.
Just inhale.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Super, thank you.
You're so welcome.
Bye.
And then go ahead, Chris, then Ralph.
Hey, Chris.
The tonic that was in the newsletter. Turmeric.
You're jumping a little bit.
I can understand.
Oh, sorry. Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right. Have a question about the tonic that was in the newsletter. I think it's the turmeric tonic. Is that
I'm
something?
going to turn you over to the turmeric tonic specialist here. So.
Oh, okay. Is that something that would help with chronic back pain that's, because of the inflammation? And is that something my dogs can take for digestive issues?
I mean, I wouldn't give the essential oils to the dog.
Yeah, I don't know that I would.
Because the Vitality Tonic has the ginger extract and then those other oils that are good for the inflammation. For the back, yeah, I mean, it's anti-inflammatory. It could really help. And Greg did just reformulate it. That's why we put it in. And it tastes delicious. But I think it's even more effective as far as the inflammatory stuff. But
how much do your dogs weigh?
They're both around 65.
65
up to
so
70.
you know what I would do is I would I mean I would want to check this just to make sure that there's no weird toxicities with an animal, but I would probably get like a little bit of black seed, like powdered, the capsule, like the powder, and like open it up and put about half of a capsule in some like a little food or a treat and then give it to them. But look it up on the internet and make sure that it's just there's no toxicity there. I don't think there is, but with something like that, I just want to make sure that it would be okay for a dog.
Can you repeat that, Greg? What do I do with the pill?
Like get some black seed capsules that it's like they're powder. Most of them are powder. Every once in a while they're liquid. I get the ones that are powder and then open the capsule up and put like half of the capsule in their food and then give it to them. And honestly, you know what I used to do for my dogs? I would give them CBD.
Oh, okay. Oh, you did this. You did a CBD roll on for me. You still have that? A couple of years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And then I left it in the hotel. I'm so mad.
Yeah. I mean, I can make you CBD. We don't put it on the site just because, but
Yeah.
You could pick some up anywhere. And I like to give it to them in liquid, like a liquid form, and you just open up their mouth
keep
and
trying to eat grass.
Yeah. I would honestly give them CBD. That's the more that I think about it.
Okay.
Tried and true. And you know what? They're a little happy. They're like, they bounce around a little bit more. They, a little bit more playful. And, again, going back to the ranch, there'd be times where I would go out and work on animals. And there was times where I just didn't know what to do. Like, they'd get like those foxtails like stuck down in their ears. And like, I don't know what to do for that. Like, healing and stuff, that inflammation is so deep. And I would just take a little dropper full of CBD and shoot it into the ear. It would fix it. Like it was kind of borderline amazing most of the time.
All right.
That's what I would do. Honestly, that's what I would do. I would just give them a little CBD.
Okay.
Give them some CBD and then put a nice Grateful Dead CD on and let them just get to the Grateful Dead.
And take some myself.
Right. Yeah.
Join the party.
Get them a little tie-dye leash. And
Love it. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
I'm just going to add in just in general, as far as like the tonics go. I wouldn't do the ones with the essential oils, but the fire tonic, like people who have horses and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a horse is taking large quantities, but the fire tonic is ginger, turmeric, horseradish, garlic, really great things that are great for their immune system too. So most people who are doing it for their animals, like the horses, were doing it for immunity, but it is also anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, the fire tonic would be a good choice.
For the animals,
Yeah,
Fire tonic. Okay.
the fire tonic is the only one that doesn't have essential oils, right?
The ECAC doesn't either, but I wouldn't,
Yeah.
it's the ECAC is like more of like a blood cleanser, liver cleanser, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, I'd do the fire tonic.
The ECAC, would that be something you would take after a hangover?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or to prevent a hangover.
Yeah. And
Oh.
tarragon will, or no, is it tarragon? It's anise.
Anise, yeah.
Yeah. Anise or anise is also for a hangover.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Between the two,
Between
do a little
ECAC
fire
and the
tonic and then a
anise,
little
yeah.
anise. Go out
Well,
and
tasting, here we come.
yeah, go out and go crazy on Friday.
All right. Thank you, guys.
You so tell Chris hi.
I will. Thank you.
And then go ahead, Ralph, then Babette.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Greg, couple of body tonic questions here.
Yes.
What's the best place to put devil chaser on the body?
I like the torso, like the
Okay.
torso and the back. You could even do a little bit of the neck. I mean, you could go crazy with it, but just like a handful and then rub it on the chest and abdomen, I call good.
Okay.
I was putting it on my back when I was having a little bit of a weird back issue. I don't know if it was my imagination or what, but it seemed to like ease it a little bit. I don't know that I would use it for like treating like a back issue, but you know, it's deeply relaxing the body. And so the idea was like, well, maybe if I relax this area, my back will do better. It did seem to help, you know. I like to do it right before you go to bed, by the way.
Okay. Alrighty. And vagal tone?
So again, you could do the same area, but I really like vagal tone up on the neck, like the neck and then the abdomen, you know, especially
Okay.
the sides of the neck.
Neck and abdomen.
Mhm.
Okay. Very good. Thanks.
Very good.
And then go ahead, Babette, and then we have some questions in chat.
Hey, Babette.
Well, let's get you unmuted.
Are we unmuted?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, good, great, thank you. Okay, I have three kind of simple questions. One is bottled lemon juice, high quality, organic, etc., comparable to a fresh lemon juice for helping to cleanse the liver? And I'm getting vitamin C from quinacin, so that's not really.
Wait, say that again. Say that again.
I'm wondering if I've got these two great big bottles of lemon juice that I've been using as an idea to help kind of cleanse out the liver. And then I thought, maybe since it's not fresh, is it useful? Is it effective?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be fresh.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, compared to essential oil, you still have to consume kind of a decent amount of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, but still work. Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Because I'm making my own drinks with it, so
Sure.
I'm trying not to take too much at once, but put some stevia and a lot of water and 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 then the second one is I have a bottle of stillness. Is that the same as still point?
No, it's different. Yeah.
And then there's no overlap or anything.
No.
How would I use the
Yeah.
stillness?
Stillness was for meditation.
Oh,
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah.
All right, then I will be able to use it up.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other question is can we use? I've got the immune kit, and I've
what?
got the immune kit
Oh,
and the
okay.
prosperity kit, both. And what I'm wondering is, can I use those like a stack with the proviso that the prosperity with the materialization oil, I would use the first three as you know, the aura thing, and then use the materialization oil with materialization breath. Am I making
Yeah,
sense?
you could use prosperity and materialization both as a to work the quadrants of the aura, but I would still use them for like what you're talking about for the materialization breath as well.
Right. So like the first three the prosperity and the albanum and the blah, 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 blah. The third one, I could use those as the auric quadrant thing. And then the
just the
fourth one,
materialization and the prosperity.
okay, so I wouldn't use the other two as a stack effect, as an R effect.
Right.
Okay, and how's about the immune kit? Can that also be used as a stack?
I don't remember what's in it. Like, you remember what's in it,
Um,
or Samantha will look it up.
I've got it right here. No, that's prosperity. Immune has got that little kit. Come back.
It does have immune.
Um, okay,
Use
immune.
the-
Oh,
use
maybe
the-
it wasn't immune. It was inflammation. I'm sorry. It was inflammation support. So that is rhododendron, lymph support, black cumin, and German chamomile.
Yeah, none of those will work for the auric programming, but use them how it says in the kit. Yeah.
As in the kit. Okay, right. I kind of felt that's why I asked. Okay. So far so good. Thank you very much. I really, really enjoyed the auric classes, and when people ask me what I do, I find that when I talked about doing a mystical class, they kind of gave me the side eye. But when I told them I'm doing an alchemical class, they all perk up and get very interested. It's really interesting. And
Yeah,
and
it
I was
depends
that
on
was
the
one of
circle, huh?
well, actually, it's been really amazing how many. I mean, it's been pretty broad based of people saying, "Oh, alchemical," and then they ask about the course that led to the gold, and then when I explain that that's emotional, the lower emotions transmute to the higher emotions, they all get that aha look, like, "Oh, that makes perfect sense."
Yeah.
And the one thing I would ask for is, um, I would love to have an official elevator talk to describe what I'm doing to other people. Because I start going and I babble and I, shift around and I tell them about the oils and the energy and the yada, yada, yadas. And so I'm just wondering, it would be great if you would I thank you. I mean, forgive me for adding to your
Or
plate, but
just in general, for the oils, or
well, I mean, I wouldn't even mind having a series of elevator talks so that when they say, "Well, why are you such a fanatic for this class?"
Mhm.
I could say, "Well, because I'm in alchemical class," and then when they get the bright eyed, they get kind of this bright eyed look on their face, I can kind of give them 30 seconds of what it's
Mm.
about. And again, if that's, I mean, I can try to make up my own and then
Yeah, like
edit it later.
we're gonna be sending out in just a little while that the Aura series
Yes.
booklet, and there's
Yes.
going to be a bunch of stuff added to that, and over a little period of time that will probably what you're asking for is going to be involved in that. Like, I'm going to do it in segments. The first is going to be all the classes, but there's going to be explanations and things that would be there. So that will probably hit some of your elevator talk stuff.
Right, great. Because I feel great interest on their part, but I feel like I'm explaining it so clumsily that I could kind of see the shutters come down in the back of their eyes. Like, yeah, I
Well,
like her and all that, but I don't know what you're talking about.
it's hard sometimes when you're dealing with the
Yeah.
general public, because we all have different places that we come from and different understandings, even what healing is, and it's not always if you're talking like to like here on the study group, we're talking to students who have been doing stuff for a while. If I talked really basic, it would be really boring, right? But you go out, like you said, in the elevator talk, you would do that. And so you kind of also have to know your audience about what you're going to say and how you're going to say it. And so it's not always an easy thing, but like kind of what you're saying is like to have a general talk just for the general public. Yeah, probably as I refine that handout for you guys, it'll be in there, because I'm redoing a bunch of things that have to do with presentation. It's just taking.
Because I feel that people they're interested, but I'm not saying it well enough to actually pick them. I mean, to draw them all the way in.
Yeah.
But anyway, so okay, great. Thank you. I look forward to that. And I'm looking forward to the book. Oh, and also one last thing. We do have permission to print out the book, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just checking. All right. Thank you.
It's going
And
to
thank you for everything.
Yeah,
Thank you, Sam. This is spectacular. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So some color questions. I think I answered this one. The class that has all the colored oils.
There's actually two classes, right? It's the Mystical Foundation for Healing, and then the colored oils were also in the 7-ray class.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I did not remember they were in the 7-ray class.
Part of working the spine.
That's right. And that was called
Divine Protection,
and the
seven soul rays.
Okay, so 2 classes. Great. And then that answered that. And then how and when to use 7 color healers kit. I mean, would it just be those classes?
You do the classes, but one of the things is when you're working with the colored healers is you're trying to stimulate the body's production of the colored pranas. And so part of what you can do is just pull one out at a time and just inhale and like put your awareness on different parts of the body. It's a lot different than projecting energy at the body. So it's not the same set of rules. So you just inhale on the different areas and let your body generate that kind of energy or that kind of effect in the body. Yeah.
What is in green healer and what is in violet healer?
Give me just a sec here. Which one's green and violet?
Violet.
So violet is Australian sage, poplar balsam, frankincense oman, cashmere lavender, cistus, acacia, and carnation. And cashmere lavender, you know, there's like regular lavenders from different areas, and then there's oil lavenders that are considered what you would call high altitude lavenders. And so they have, so they're a bit more refined, like I find them to be a little bit more potent for some things, not all things, for some things. But the cashmere lavender, it actually comes from Kashmir, which is close to Mount Kailash, which is the crown chakra of the planet. That's the entry point of divine energy as it comes into the planet is Kailash. And so I like it. Like I try to buy oils from in and around that area just because they have like kind of a little bit more spiritual energy in them because of that energy in the ground. And so there's a European high altitude lavender too, but I like the cashmere. You know, I don't know. That's just me. So it's got, and I said acacia and carnation, right?
Oh, probably missed that.
And then green healer is, so green healer is bush tea tree, which is a wild tea tree. It's a little bit more potent energetically than just normal tea tree. And then eucalyptus radiata, ginger grass, Ami Vesnaga, aniseed myrtle, which is a kind of myrtle, and then basil. It's got a hefty amount of basil in it. Yeah. The bush tea tree, I don't even think we have it on the site, do we? I think I just use it in blends.
Yeah, I think you just use it in the
Yeah, I
blends.
just
You
use
might
it in
have put it in a special kit
Yeah.
once, but we,
Yeah.
because of, I think you said the limited amount or something.
Yeah. I have several kind of funky tea trees. I don't know, I like tea tree.
And then some people weren't able to see the upcoming classes. They should be able to now. And then I just wanted to make sure you guys saw, because it was a really popular class like a year ago, is not this weekend's class, but next weekend's class. Greg make it a 2.0 of the transformational astrology class. Will you tell them a little why it's a 2.0?
Yeah, like, so, you know, when we went through and we did that, it's basically we're working your personal astrological sign with oil blends that are specific to your sign. And so when we go through and we do those classes, sometimes there's so much information that can't cover it all in a weekend. And so we're going to come back around and do kind of like phase 2. So it will be the same kit that you got in the class. And we'll go a little bit deeper with that, and we'll work the different aspects of your zodiac sign and all of that. And if you're going to do the class for the first time, I mean, still you could jump right in, but this is one class where we need to know your birth sign. And so it could be West astrology, it could be Eastern astrology, it could be either way, but let us know so we can get you the proper kit.
And it is pretty easy for you guys when you do register. If it is your first time, we keep it real simple. We're like, all 12 zodiac signs are in there. So you just put that one in your cart and that's the one we get to you. And then if you worked your Western and want to work your Eastern this next time around, you will just need to put a whole new kit in your cart and check out to get that.
Unless you're Samantha.
Yeah, well, you know.
Samantha's a Gemini in the Western astrology and a Gemini in Eastern.
Yeah. So I got two for one kit, really. Okay. And then go ahead, Channy.
Hey, Channy.
Hi everyone. Hi,
Hey,
Greg.
hey.
I have a
Hey.
quick question. How do I find out my Eastern sign?
Oh, I happen to know somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know a guy, Sam?
I know a guy. I know a gal who that's her jam.
Okay, I'll hit you up afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Hi, Greg. I have
Hey.
I have a question about all the classes. Of all the classes, what would be your recommendation if I want to work on raising my vibration, like raising my emotional vibration? I feel like all the classes do that, but if that's like my goal is to elevate my emotions, and I'm just wondering which booklet do I get out and which kit do I get out? So you know what I'm working on right now? I'm using vetiver, like we talked about.
Mhm.
And then I just ordered some more color healers. I ran out of violet, so I got an order of violet, but I have all the other colors. But just in general, like if I really want to work on raising my emotional vibration right now, could you recommend a class for me to?
Yeah, let me think about that for a second.
So if you need more information, I'm happy to share it with you if it'll help you answer that question. And thanks to vetiver, it helped me identify this question.
Oh, good. Boy, very good.
Yep. So it's been working with vetiver to kind of move out of the lower emotions.
Right.
And I can tell you firsthand it's working. I am
Yeah.
not as stressed
Really,
out.
it's really amazing, isn't it?
It really is, and I forget about it. And when I go back into my kit, I'm like, I've got 4 vetivers and I've got like
Right.
4 bottles of the ointment, and I
Right.
just forgot to use them.
Let me think here. You know what I would probably go back and do is I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Mastering the Elements. Was that the name of it?
Oh, yeah, the one that
Yeah.
has the, yeah.
Let's have you do Mastering the Elements.
Hold on one second. Mastering the elements.
And Robert just posted it so you could see what's in the kit. Sometimes that helps refresh my memory
Yeah,
too.
like I think we did it. I think we taught it for the first time maybe in January.
Mastering.
I'd have to look it up.
Oh, I don't have a folder for that one.
Hmm. Yeah, I can check on the date.
Oh yeah, I did take the class because I have the
Yeah.
recording. I just checked my email. It was March 23rd and 24th.
Oh, March. Yeah.
So, yep, I have the recordings from class.
Yeah, I think that would be your best bet.
Okay.
Yeah. We are going to be doing a class on vibrational healing in September, but it's not going to, time is of the essence for you. So that's where I would go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. Cool.
All right, those are the questions I can see. We have a few minutes if you want to have a sniff some hyssop or something. I don't know.
Yeah, let's see.
Or a color.
Let's have you pull out like a basil or eucalyptus, rosemary.
Spell eucalyptus wrong, but you guys get the point.
Okay, let me think about this for a second. Okay, so put your awareness on your spine. And with whichever oil you're using, even hyssop. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on your spine. Your awareness is on your whole spine. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Now, move your awareness to the back solar plexus. So it's below your shoulder blades in that mid back area. Taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the back shoulder. Now move your awareness down to the backside of the navel, on your low back, the backside of the navel. And then anywhere in your body or your back where you feel a little something, take some nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Just a nice little flushing out of something. So we're going to shift over to the Astara prayer, petition, blessing. And so if you want to join us, we do a little 15-minute thing where we bless the prayer petitions and do a little quick healing and bring in some spiritual energy. And so join us if you can. And if not, tomorrow night's the study groups. It was a free study group or a free weekend, so anybody can join us. So join us.